Okay, everyone. Welcome to the Wisho League of Legends Varsity Series, I believe week 4. We are here today with Elkhorn versus Bayport. I am Zombro. I will be the solo caster for today, as Mr. Jarl Carl very sadly could not join us this evening. And it looks like we are just getting ready to start here shortly as we are getting into our positions. Let's see. I believe this is our first time on stream watching either of these teams, so I'm pretty excited to be watching this. Actually, did we watch Bayport once? I think we might have watched Bayport once. I believe they switched out their top laner. But yeah, either way, gonna be an exciting match here. Rank wise, looks like it is relatively even, but we will see how the game is going to show out and what champions we're going to be locking in. As I believe that the Ready is from the same side, yeah. I'm pretty excited for today. Sadly, like I said earlier, I'm solo casting. And Cryptix does say hi. That is awesome. Yeah, let's see. The biggest thing I'm looking out for here is just kind of the ADC matchup, because what I've seen, or at least I remember so far from most of our games, is that bot lane has kind of been a dominating factor. Especially in the first 2 weeks. Last week was kind of more of the top lane winning lane, and then kind of took over the game. But just kind of looking at the ranks here, it is honestly kind of looking at like the Bayport top laner will be pretty strong, as so far the highest rank I can tell in this lobby. Definitely going to be a dominating factor here. We're just getting into the final position. Start time is until 4, so we still have 4 minutes until we actually are supposed to start. Just getting into the lobby here a little bit early. Looks like the coach, General Jar Jar, is here now. And looks like off to the races we go. Into the draft we are headed here. Oh, I don't actually have audio, I've just noticed. That's awkward. There we go. Now we should have the League of Legends audio in the background. Add a little bit of background noise. As we are starting off with the Vi, Sylas, and Shaco bans, relatively targeting jungle. Obviously, Sylas can also be played mid or top lane as needed, but I've seen it most in the jungle this season so far. Followed by the Darius ban, strong top laner, can relatively take over games, and usually newer players will be going towards it, as is one of the free champions you get, so it makes sense. Then a Varus and Samira ban. Samira has been a lot of priority so far in the Wisha tournament, so honestly not a surprising ban at this point. In the Varus ban, that champion is just relatively strong right now. And I haven't looked at the players' OP.DGs yet, but I would also assume that's kind of a target ban. And we'll see what the first champion we're going to be seeing in this game is. It's this blind pick Yasuo B1. A surprising pick can be flexed, in 3 ways relatively, but most likely going to be the mid lane pick here. An interesting counter pick situation, as I do know that Malphite a relatively hard counter. What most players do like to play into the Yasuo. Otherwise, you just have any range champions able to stay back, or Set. I know Set is kind of deemed, from what I could tell, one of the hardest Yasuo counters in the mid lane, even though that is more of a pocket pick type of thing. And yeah, there's the Malphite I was talking about, and the Jhin 2 also picked up as the ADC here for Bayport. As to counter the Malphite, we have a Dr. Mundo lock-in here relatively instantaneously, so I don't know if that's just okay, we see enemy tank, we pick Mundo, or it's okay, we pick Yasuo, so they pick Malphite, and then our Mundo curb stomps their Malphite. Overall, I would kind of just expect it to be, okay, they pick tank, we can pick tank and outscale the top lane. We're focusing on just bot lane vibing. And it's going to be a Mumu locked in the jungle role. I think a very strong champion right now is a Mumu. I've actually been rocking this champion solo queue quite a bit recently. Relatively, strong champion. If there isn't any dashes on the enemy team too, it's so easy to stay on opponents. And so far, Jin and Annie won't be able to get away from it too much, and Malphite's only, mobility is that ultimate, so if he's using that just to escape in a movement, that's a really good trade. As speaking of the Annie though, also locked in third pick into the second ban phase now, starting off with the Karma ban, an interesting support ban, but it is another enchanter ban. You do still have plenty of other enchanters available, like the Lulu, like the Yumi, Janna especially available. Those are three very strong enchanters in the current meta right now too. As Lily going to be banned as a jungle ban. Interesting ban into a Mumu because it is AP and a Mumu does have the natural magic like strong side, so you are able to build a lot of magic resist items on a Mumu. I guess most tanks nowadays just build armor base, but enemy team doesn't have too much armor to start off with, so overall relatively good ban still. And that's going to be a Maokai final ban here for the red team. Yeah, I believe that's just a support ban coming out here again. Relatively strong. I don't know how strong it would be into the Annie support, so that kind of makes me feel like it's going to be an Annie mid lane to counter the Yasuo. More locked in, because I feel like you actually do kind of want the Annie into the Maokai matchup. Just Annie into any melee support just seems really good. And the Soraka final support ban, so yeah, they're also kind of hinting at the Annie being in a mid lane pick. Instead of the support, as has been commonly seen after her shield buffs. And we'll see what the fourth pick is going to be here. It's going to be Seraphine. Still can be flex mid lane, so now you have the double flex as an option no matter what you do. Obviously, I think into Yasuo, you are looking more towards the Annie, as her W and ultimate can go through the wind wall, where Seraphine's CC just all gets countered by wind wall, so it feels like a better matchup to have it mid. And so that's going to be the last pick jungle for the red team. And on the blue team here, we are going to be picking our ADC and support in succession, I would assume. As we're looking at the Tristana ADC getting locked in here. A little bit scary to lock in, a ADC, hard carry champion like Tristana when you already have a Yasuo available and you're fighting a Malphite, the champion who's just kind of known for attack speed slow, getting on top of champions relatively easily, and being extremely tanky with armor. So you have the two kind of heavy attack speed carries that want to build crit too. Could spell disaster for their team, but the Nautilus is going to be a lot of CC lockdown, looking for get a little bit more of a dive comp. Looking at the composition so far, definitely have to favor the red team just because of how much dive they kind of have and engage, along with disengage to top it all off too. If needed, it's extremely easy for them to kind of peel back and walk backwards. Play for poke a little bit more. You have the Jin ult along with the Seraphine ultimate to kind of keep them at bay. Well, on the blue team, they have one game plan, and that is their W key, or I guess in this case, just walk at opponents. We're not playing an FPS. You're just kind of clicking on opponents. You're pressing the Nautilus ultimate. You have a lot of lockdown with that, too. You can easily follow it up with the Mumu ultimate. And then the Nautilus Yasuo combo, of course, is going to be a very strong combo no matter what. It is all going to kind of come down to the laning phase, though, as it definitely seems to me like the scaling potential is on the side of red team. Obviously, you have the two attack damage carries, as I stated, and ADC items and crit items in general just relatively outscale most other builds in the game. But it's just very difficult to get to that point, and you are fighting a Malphite. Along with Seraphine, who's shielding and healing overall, just cannot be underestimated when you're trying to all-in a comp. As that will be starting our 3-minute spectator delay until we are able to get into this match and see what's going to happen on the Rift. So far, very much not disappointed by this draft, as I've been talking about. It's very exciting to see what's going to be happening. We have a lot of ways to initiate fights, and so I'm going to be expecting a lot of brawling at around level 6. And even before that, too, Yasuo gets his dashes at level 2. Tristana at level 3 usually wants to go in. And you have an Amumu jungle, who has a very strong level 3 gank, and honestly can go for some level 2 cheese if you want, even though, we probably won't be seeing that this game, as you just don't have enough setup anywhere but bot lane. But it's definitely a possibility here. If I am the Amumu in this situation as jungle, I'm definitely going to be pathing towards bot. There's a lot of kill pressure down there. Jin Seraphine, 0 dashes. You have a Nautilus support. That should be free kills all day long. If they leave their tower, it's a crime against humanity. On the other side, though, you have the Shyvana jungle. The champion usually just wants to hit 6 before doing anything, because it has no mobility until then. But once it hits level 6, it's going to be very strong in some of these fights. At one item, too, probably going to be relatively tanky depending on build, because, of course, Shyvana, has 13 items they can build first. Kind of just the whole kitchen sink you can throw at your opponents at endgame. But, it's always going to be interesting to see what's going to be happening. And, of course, it's going to be a lot of action. As we still have 1 minute and 20 seconds, man. What do we talk about here? We could talk about First Blood. Do I love this game? Where is First Blood going to happen? I guess I'm the only one here, so I can make the only guess. But in my guess is going to be Ballin. You have the Nautilus, you have the Amumu. Like I said, no mobility on Jhin Seraphine. Should be a First Blood down there. That's definitely where I would be placing my bets. I would, like I said, I would assume it's probably going to be like the Tristana picking it up. You're going to be trying to give it to the Tristana. But we also could see the Nautilus Ignite stealing it. I know that happens quite often. So we'll definitely have to see what happens then. And yeah, I just want to watch League. 3 minutes is a long time. Especially when it's just me casting, you know. Where's Gerald Carl when you need him? Sad. Hope he's having a good time on, I think, a break or something. Didn't ask too many details. Yeah, the outlier for Red Team, though, kind of seems to be the Shyvana. It seems a little bit weird with the rest of the comp, because the rest of the comp has really good disengage, long-range poke, and engage, all have heavy CC. You know, Jhin can stay far away, Annie ult, Malphite ult, and Seraphine ultimate all are very, very heavy CC abilities. And Shyvana just kind of feels like it was thrown in here as more of a comfort pick. I'm kind of going to be interested to see how this champion actually plays out throughout the rest of this game as we do hop into the Rift after our terrifying delay. Now there we are. Oh. Okay, there we are. As we do get started onto the Rift here, as it looks like someone wants to be invading here shortly. Okay, that looks a little bit better. And nope, it is just going to be a 5-point here by both sides. No one showing mid lane here. But overall, we are just going to be playing defensively. No one will be doing any invade shenanigans. Nope, okay, just like here. Then that's all that has to be switched down there. Okay. Yeah, just a 5-point. No one wants to invade. You know, you have the Nautilus, so I was definitely kind of expecting something level 1, but I guess you just don't want to risk the Amumu starting Q. Might not be looking for something. And I guess you are also engaging into a Seraphine, but when you have a Shyvana, you know, it's a relatively weak champion, level 1 especially. So, definitely could have seen something there happening for blue team, but looks like we are just going to be seeing both teams 5-pointing, like I said. Yeah. I mean, here we go. We are starting the laning phase now. Into the mid lane, we are going to see probably Annie getting a small pressure advantage to start off with. But at level 2, Yasuo should kind of be able to start just wrecking this lane. So that's what I normally see. Up until level 6, where Annie has a lot of potential for ult damage and a point-and-click stun a lot easier. Top lane is going to be the tank versus tank matchup, so probably not a lot happening there. As a nice force shot, along with the double Seraphine Q, is going to land onto Wholesome Cherry. Not a good start to the landing phase. You really want to try to keep as healthy as you can until that level 3 power spike, when you get your jump, attack speed burst, and your grenade. And Nautilus, of course, can just go in whenever he wants. He does want to hit at least level 2 in order to get the shield buff available. He's actually going to be using the slow instead. And Tristana will walk in, jump out, just keeping a bit of health bar going for those early trades. Good trades, though. Trying to, like I said, Tristana trying to get them down before that level 3. You do have the exhaust on the Seraphine, so you also probably want to try and get that before you go for the true all-in, where you're using your, heal and ignite and flashes to try to go for kills, because that exhaust is going to counteract a lot of that Tristana burst damage that she has. And yeah, here we see the Yasuo trying to dash forward, get some of the CS. And Vanagi having a bit of trouble outpoking that. Just anti-autos don't do too much early, and the wave is hitting me too. In the top lane, Mundo is going to be winning these trade matchups pretty hard with his cleaver. Usually better than Rock. unless, you know, Rock is able to sit behind the minions most of the time. But when the wave is this big and shoving towards you, you can't really sit behind them very easily, because Mundo is also moving through them. Relatively difficult matchup. You are just kind of looking to scale, and then the Mundo shielding for the Malphite becomes very difficult too. But Shyvana with the full clear at 330, definitely taking some of those full clear pathing guides, is able to get to the top side and onto the scuttle pretty much on spawn. It's going to be a good advantage for her as she is here fast. Neither jungle has smite though, as they do see each other in the river. Bot lane relatively weak also. And yeah, here we are. Vanity has the advantage in the mid lane with the anti-stun available. Milton Bad's going to be looking on to Warpo, as they actually have the engage onto Nobly in the bot lane. He has the heal available and flash, going to be using the both at the same time. Wholesome Cherry going forward, just needs one more auto. No, it's not going to be able to do it though, as Wholesome Cherry blows his flash for flash trade. Wizardcraft still has his own flash. They can look for maybe a bit of an extended trade after, but you do get Nobly out of lane. It's going to be a lot of extra CS in his pocket after this. Just focus on shoving this wave in and last hitting to the best of his ability. And it looks like we have another fight happening in the bot lane here. They are just going to somehow end up trading scuttles just because of bot lane advantage. And then Vanagi has the stun available using shield. Stun will get Windwalled though, and BK Plan will miss the knockup. Going to use the minions to dash away. Gets stunned by the W afterwards. And AQ misses. Vanagi might be in trouble here. The knockup is going to land this time. Auto Ignite dash forward. That's going to be a first blood solo kill in the mid lane for the Yasuo. I mean, well played engage. Annie just stepping a little too close to Yasuo there. The minion wave shoving back into you. And because the minion wave was crashing too, Yasuo had so many dash targets, makes it very difficult to trade into him. And overall, really well played there by MVK Plan B. You know, like I said, just playing around the minions, playing smart, and then the moment you windwall that Annie stun, you kind of realize that you just win. Just because that stun is down, you're able to just keep extending the trade, and when the knockup lands, Ignite is just the game changer. Annie was able to TP back in the mid wave though, picking up a small CS advantage, but obviously that solo kill is not going to be worth 4 CS. In the top lane, we see tanks trading. So far, though, MasterCat144 has taken a small CS advantage, almost 15 at this point in time, whereas it looks like Rohan is having a bit of issues trying to, you know, stabilize this lane, focusing a little bit more on champion poke than last hitting the minions, which is, in a tank versus tank matchup, not normally what you're looking for. I guess just playing a little bit more for the Shyvana ganks. Alright, the bot lane though, we do see a Moo walking down. He has now been spotted on Vision. Nobly has to be careful here. Warpo's right in the vicinity. There's still no flash on Nobly. The stun is going to be landing onto the Seraphine. It's going to be the flash forward from Nautilus, able to hit the hook. And Seraphine will be the first to fall. Stun is going to be landing on Nobly here. Give the kill over to Jasada. Wizardcraft takes it though. It's going to be 2 for 0 in the bot lane, with 1 kill for each of the bot laners on the side of Elkhorn. In the mid lane, the stun will not connect from Tibbers as it now has come up, but Tibbers will be doing a lot of damage just base. The flash to dodge the knockup. Plan B, Windwalls dashing forward. The W doesn't connect. One more auto should do it. Tibbers doesn't get it off. Vanity doesn't get it off. Plan B goes for the Q, but he dies to the anti-shield after the Q lands. How? Oh my god! The mid lane fight. Vanity with the huge shield. Genius Giga Chad walk into the Yasuo Q to kill him. Oh, but the Shyvana walks up and auto smites it. She is going to have to flash. I don't even know if she'll be able to live. Ignite is ticking. Will actually end up living. Wizardcraft does not have the Hex Flash app yet. Oh my god, the shenanigans happening on this map. I love it. I mean, Gillian Brads also is able to recall after that. So you get the dragon only costing your flash, which is definitely worth it. You know, we'll have to see what soul it is to make sure it's completely worth it. If we are looking at, you know, like an Ocean or a Cloud or something, it's probably not as worth it. I guess Cloud isn't too bad on that team, but, you know, it's definitely a good health advantage, too, for your laners. Any fights that are won by 1 HP in favor of Bayport now is kind of because of that Ocean Soul, or that Soul the Dragon, just because that healing can be so powerful for laning phase. As a tank lane top trades, and cameras love panning to this. I love the auto camera. Speaking of top lane though, it is a double CS advantage for MasterCat144. Up 30 CS onto Rohan here. You know, that's not an advantage that you really want to be in a state for, because this kind of allows Mundo to just start winning side lane so much earlier. Looks like Mundo will be rushing that Heartsteel, so you're going to be able to start stacking that so much earlier too. I don't know what Rohan is going to be building here, but either way, you know, that mythic advantage, no matter what it is always going to be so much stronger in the tank versus tank matchup. In mid lane, both players have their ultimates back up again. Annie ultimates has 3 seconds on the cooldown. Knockup will connect, does not take the Yasuo ultimate though. has it again. Not going to be able to land this one. Annie not turning around for the stun in time. Able to dash away. Wizardcraft really wants to look for the all-in. Well, Wholesome Cherry does hit level 6 here, so Wizardcraft should be probably looking for an all-in trade, knowing his ADC has an insane amount of burst damage with that Tristana ultimate. We'll just be going for the vision, though, as Wizardcraft... Man, oh, just throw a Q into that. That's a free kill. But no, I mean, playing cautious, you don't know where Shyvana is, so I guess it makes sense. We have God Vision, they don't, and it's always tough for me to remember what I'm spectating. But yeah, I mean, it's still a huge advantage in favor of Elkhorn to start off. As I was saying earlier... Oh, no, the Q on the Mage Minion. That's fine, though. We're still 5-ing in the bot lane. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, you know, I do think Bayport is going to be able to outscale this. But with a 2,000 gold lead this early into the game, it becomes very difficult to actually advance to those 2-3 item power spikes that you kind of need as a team. Oh, this time the hook will connect. Tristana jumping in, has the ultimate available. There's looking to be a double charm, though, as the Jin's going to be able to use the 4-shot, has his own ultimate available. We have a fight happening with the 2-mana Mumu ultimate. The knockup from AK Plan B does not get his own ultimate off, though. Gillibrand's going in onto the Yasuo. Yasuo's going to be able to pick up the first one here. The knockup's going to come down, but he's stunned, so he can't use his own ultimate. He's going to end up dying to the Annie, as it is going to be the Amumu walking away, trying his best to run, using his own flash too, but Vanity has so much movement speed with his own E. Tibbers keeps trying to run him down. The Q will connect as the Amumu Band-Aid toss does not hit the scuttle. And that is going to be 2 kills in the mid lane for Annie, only costing the Shyvana's life. You know, really well played by Shyvana there, turning onto the Yasuo, realizing you can kill this, and the perfect, it's perfectly timed stun from Banagi to where the Yasuo knockup and his own stun was timed the same as, oh, in the top lane here, Rowan's going to have to be flashing away. Mundo has the ultimate, it's good look for a tower dive. We see another jumping happening in the bot lane here. Dauntus going to be just dead, flashes away too. That is a huge cooldown being used. Wholesome Cherry doesn't even get 4-shot after that, so he's still relatively healthy. And yeah, just a lot of action happening, most of it still in favor of Elkhorn, except for that mid lane play, as Annie, now with all 3 kills on the team, slight CS advantage, and this is kind of where you have to pressure the rest of your team, because this is where you're looking to make things happen. As Vanagi will hit the stun through the wind wall somehow. Gillibrand's coming up from nowhere. NKB still has that ultimate. Going to be using it onto the Annie. Annie almost has stun back up. Not going to be able to get in time. Doesn't even need it. Now it's going to be Warpo. Bandage tossing in. He has to be a little bit careful here. Vanagi does not have enough mana, or sorry, enough spells to get his stun back up. And it will just be Warpo walking away from Gillibrand's. Had the Smite and Ultimate available, but just doesn't want to keep chasing into that Nautilus or Tristana. Definitely respect that. Walk away. And Dragon spawning in 50 seconds. As Shyvana, you do definitely want to look to take this again, as your mid laner is so strong right now. Has first item already. Got another kill. Facing, probably has boots here? No, doesn't have anything, sadly. So Rohan does get that passive with his ultimate, but just mostly using it for wave clear here. Is, you know, still a double CS advantage, which is just... It's so sad to see that as the Malphite, you know, is in a tank versus tank matchup. Mundo is just becoming so strong, so early, so fast with the amount of gold he has, as each kill is worth around 15 gold on average, I believe. So that is, you know, that's pretty much like a 2 or 3 kill advantage for Mastercat at this point in time, gold-wise. As we might see a fight happening here. Wizardcraft has the ultimate available, going to be using the hook onto Seraphine, has his ultimate. It's going to be that 2-man knockup. Dauntus is going to be in trouble. The charm will hit 2 still. Tristana in a bit of trouble. It's going to be the Shyvana ulting into 3. Jhin ultimate on top of that. Wizardcraft having to try and walk away. It's going to be the Shyvana first to fall here. Annie has popped up. Double kill instantaneously. Plan B has to try to find a way to escape, flashing onto the Jhin, but is not going to be able to live with anything. Renegi has the stun back up. His auto attack, it will not do it. The auto, though, does proc the Jhin W. It will be a stun, followed by the ultimate from Amumu, trying to walk away. Run, little mummy, run! He's trying to get to his tower. Nobly has the 4-shot. This should kill the flash Q. 4-shot doesn't kill. Get in there. Tibbers W won't connect. Tibbers doesn't hit him. It hits the tower. Oh my god, Amumu lives! Wow. I can't believe it. I mean, that play was absolutely insane overall. Everyone decided to dogfight it for the Dragon here, as Dragon has just spawned. Look like it's going to go over to Bayport. That's a huge advantage for Bayport. Annie is now 6-1. You know, that is so much money in the Annie's pocket. Going to be able to one-shot pretty much everyone but the Mundo on the enemy team at this point. You know, as Mundo will have a bit of magic resist so far. No magic resist felt by any of the other tanks. And Nautilus, I just think, is such a squishy champion overall. But yeah, it's going to be second Dragon going over to Bayport, and that is also a Cloud Soul, which isn't terrible, but not the soul you're really looking for. You know, you'd really rather have a Mountain or Infernal, as it's going to be Nautilus choosing to take this fight into 3. It's going to be the jump away from Wholesome Cherry. Wizardcraft is going to be saved maybe by the Tristana ultimate, and yeah, he will just be able to walk away though. Tristana might be in trouble. Wholesome Cherry, oh my god, he might burn down. Gillibrand's will be smiting him and flashing away on top. A nice dive onto the Tristana there. As Warpo will just take the control ward sitting on the plant. Wow, I mean, a huge turnaround so far. In the past, like, 2 minutes, the gold has gone from 1,000 in lead in favor of Elkhorn to just 1k. And most of that, if not all of it, is just in the top lane right now. As, I mean, yeah, speaking of the top lane, it's just not looking good for Rohan. You know, it's no longer a double CS lead, but it is still, you know, it's still a huge amount. It is 54 CS, almost. Like, that is, am I doing my math right? I don't know. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I mean, that's just a huge CS lead right now in the top lane, and that is literally from no jungle pressure on either side, just naturally forming, which is not what you want to see. And in the mid lane, though, here I can actually check gold while we are waiting on this. There is also going to be around 1,000 gold lead in favor of the Annie. You know, super strong on the Annie right now. It has more gold than this Mundo with that CS that he has, just because 6 kills is giving over so much. Doesn't have a Darksteel, surprisingly, but I guess you just, you know, you're into an Amumu, a Nautilus, and a Yasuo, so it's very difficult to kind of stay alive in these fights, so I guess you're just looking for those Zanyas instead. As Warpo will find Rohan. Master Cat is now in the area. I believe, no, it didn't even pop the ghost, just has natural movement speed that fast. Rohan does not have his ultimate back up in time. Just going to be trying to live as long as he can. The Ramumu ultimate comes through, but Rohan with his ultimate right after they weren't able to pick up the kill, trying to give it over to Master Cat, but actually is unable to pick that up. Wow, that is kind of sad, because it was so perfectly timed in for Bayport's top laner that, like, it's just, oh, it's so weird that play happens, but... You know, I respect the Amumu trying to give the kill over, because Malphite didn't ult yet, you just assumed he didn't have it, which he didn't, but it came up just in time to save his life, which is just crazy timing. As, yeah, now that Annie's popping into the top lane too, she's not going to let them take that tower just yet, but Elkhorn is looking at the first tower on either top or bot right now, and Jhin can't sit under this tower alone for too much longer. Balsam Cherry has the ultimate, has flash and heal up, so it's very easy to dive this Jhin, and it looks like they will just be taking first tower at the bot side. Yeah, first tower going over, that's a lot more gold on the Tristana, should have first item now. Herald will be traded for this, but, you know, Herald is usually what you're using to take first tower, so I won't say this is the greatest trade, but... You know, on Shyvana, just every neutral objective is relatively good for you. Obviously, the dragons give you the bonus, and the Herald can help you take dragons with a bit of pressure, usually in mid lane. As Master Cat is going to be farming these Heartsteel procs. Staying relatively healthy, still has a giant CS advantage, but hasn't been increasing too much since we last checked in, which is really good for Rohan, trying to stabilize this lane the best he can. Mid lane still relatively rough for the Yasuo. You know, he cannot engage all he wants anymore. Dashing through the minions is kind of, you know, disastrous, as Annie with that stun is able to do a huge amount of burst damage. Shield Build might be able to keep you alive for one of them, but if you take a bad trade, it's just going to call you back to base every time, and then you're losing CS you don't want to lose. As Master Cat might be in trouble here. Gillian Brad's now going to be on a ward spotted. Master Cat has the ultimate available and flash. Shouldn't be able to try and live here. Gillian Brad has his own ultimate, but not going to be using it right away. Just getting Heartsteel proc over and taking the Mundo's ultimate, will be leaving now. In the mid lane, Vanity gets Hextech flashed on. The Q will connect. Knockup comes through. Yasuo ultimate. Flash. And the ultimate's going to stun onto two of them. Ultimate from Nautilus will connect, but the Mumu was unable to find anything and get anything done, so not going to be able to secure that kill. Annie, very well played, able to live with just a flash and ultimate, and doesn't even need a teammate to help him out. You know, not a great trade to happen right before Dragon, as you are missing now a Nautilus ultimate for this Dragon fight. You know, Annie also doesn't have her ultimate or flash, so it's relatively even there, but Nautilus ultimate is a huge cooldown to get to take out a target carry. As Nobly might just be walking into his death here. Wizardcraft going to use the Q, getting Jhin flash right before the fight starts again. Gillian Brad's using Herald to try and absorb some pressure into the mid lane now. Really trying to fight for this dragon, puts them on soul point. Definitely a sketchy one to fight without your Annie here yet. Annie does have teleport, but is not even using it to get back in the mid lane. It looks like they are just going to be giving this objective over. You're taking the first two. I guess you just don't care about one of the clouds going over to the enemy team, so you're just going to give that over to. As actually, it looks like we do want to fight. It's going to be the TP coming through and Jin Ultimate. Wizardcraft trying to take the first ones up. It's going to be now Mastercat in the area. Huge Seraphine Ultimate's going to charm 3. Tristana will be able to cancel it though. Mastercat's just in the backline, hitting for free. Gillianbrad's taking 3 of them with him. Warpo might be died here too. It's going to be juggle for juggle trade. Start the fight off. Vanity in a bit of trouble as Mastercat is running him down. And he's going to be the second one to fall here. Wizardcraft trying to walk forward. Doesn't get the auto off. Does get force shot. Jin is a huge menace in this fight still and alive. I don't know if he'll be able to do anything about this Mundo though, as Mundo now sees him on the vicinity. He's going to be trying to walk down. The cleaver will connect. He's now slowed. This should just be able to spell his death. Wholesome Cherry wants to be trying to pick up the skill though. He'll to try to escape his best of his ability, but he will be taken down, and it's going to be going over to Mastercat. As you know, a lot of stuff happened at the Dragon fight. I thought they were giving it, but Bayport wanted to try and fight it. Just not a fight you can be taking when you see that Mastercat teleport. You know, your top laner isn't able to join the fight, has teleport but no mana, trying to get that mythic item before they join any of these team fights. And that right there, you know, is just a situation where you've lost early relatively hard, so you're not able to take any of these fights that you'd want. You know, Annie needs to get that second item, and it's not even a burst item, so it's not going to do too much for one-shotting someone, but it will help a lot with that survivability, especially if you had a Malphite there to help peel for you too. Another thing we see here is the Jhin did go Kraken Slayer. You know, enemy team is relatively tanky, so I definitely don't hate the build. It gives a lot of AD, along with that, you know, every once in a while, extra bit of true damage, not as valuable on Jhin, but definitely still is a big help. Along with just the amount of AD that it gives over Gale Force, so I definitely don't hate the build now. It just sucks when you pick Jhin and enemy team picks 3 tanks, because Jhin is the last ADC you want in the tanks. Oh, tragic. But everyone will be farming back up. It looks like Elkhorn is going to be looking for the play on at mid lane here. Wizardcraft channeling that Hextech Flash. It's going to be going in. The Q will connect onto the Seraphine. Jhin is the primary target here, though, as Seraphine might be the first to fall. Windwall is going to be able to try to keep him alive. It's going to be the 4 versus 3 in the mid lane. As, yeah, it's going to be Gillianbrad's ulting in. Not be able to do anything. Walking away. Mastercat is tower diving. Does hit the E along with Heartsteel proc to pick that kill up. And NK Plan B yeah, takes a lot of tower damage. But it won't matter. No one can chase him down, even though he's weak. There's 5 versus 3 in the mid lane. Malphite just showed up to maybe try and stop Nobly from getting dove, but they don't want to continue this. They took a tower. They're happy with what happened. And everyone will be walking towards Baron now. A surprising pickup. I want to kind of see these players look for Baron, but look for the fight around Baron instead. Obviously, you can look for Baron. But if Red Team shows up to fight, you definitely don't want to throw the game just trying to sacrifice yourself for a Baron buff. As Rohan, you know, they have a ward on it. They see them starting. It's starting at 3,000, though. It's going down super fast. This should just be a free Baron. They're not even contesting it. It looks like Rohan wants to try and play for the fight. Vanity in the area, too, has the ultimate going down, trying to one-shot the ADC. He will not die immediately. It's going to be the Seraphine ultimate, landing on a 2 of them before getting Windwalled. It's going to be a huge Mumu ultimate in the vicinity. He's not have it up yet, though. Or actually, he just used it. Didn't hit anything, I believe. I don't know. I can't see anything. Oh, the 3-man Yasuo ultimate, though, is going to turn this fight right around. Vanity taking a lot of damage here. Mastercat, though, is so weak. It just didn't have the follow-up damage on the Yasuo ultimate. That's so tragic. Wholesome Cherry just getting zoned off the entire time by Tibbers, along with just being weak. It's so insane how well that fight was played by the Bayport team. Did a really good macro play, stalling it out, and then looking for the fight once you know they're debuffed by the Baron. Along with the amount of fuel that you had, you know, engaging onto the Seraphine is one of the last things you want to do, even though it's so difficult to engage on anyone else because of how strong enchanters are, just in my opinion. You know, if you engage on Seraphine, the rest of the team is hitting you for free, and Seraphine has no damage, so it doesn't matter. But if you engage on anyone else, Seraphine just keeps them alive, and you can't kill them. It's just a lose-lose when you're playing against enchanters. It's so difficult to play against this comp. Even after that fight happens, though, you got the Baron. You know, that's 1,500 gold overall for your team. So the gold lead didn't fluctuate too much, but you are still losing a fight, and that is definitely a lot of morale shifted in favor of Bayport. You know, just the Yasuo getting a 3-man ultimate along with the Amumu going in there. I probably like a 2-man ultimate. I didn't see it. I blinked or something. And still losing a fight. You know, that says a lot about the current state. As Gillianbrad's might be caught out. Has the ultimate. Can hop over a wall. But just permanently CC'd. Actually going to be ulting in. Oh, the stun 2-man Annie Tibbers onto the backline as Warpo's going to be the second to fall. It's going to be the ADC and jungle falling. Got picked off. You know, Gillianbrad's kind of just baiting him in there. Walking all spicy like. Wizardcraft actually ends up living, even though he was one to engage this fight. Has to use his real flash to escape. Rohan loses his tower finally in the top lane. Might just be getting ran down now. As, nope, his slow will connect and last cleaver will not. So it is going to be able to just walk away there. Once again, though, a lot of gold going into Mastercat's pockets. You know, he should probably have 3 items now, which is going to be most in the game. once he recalls, which is an entire item over Rohan right now. Dragon spawning in 50 seconds. We are probably looking to fight for this for both sides. It is just an objective you want. You don't want to give anybody soul point if you're Elkhorn, and you want to get more dragons in your pocket. Also, if you're Elkhorn, and if you're on Bayport, you want the soul point. So we probably will see both teams fighting for this. Rohan losing a lot of poke in the top lane. This does allow Mastercat to keep split pushing 4 towers, which kind of puts them on a timer. Even though, of course, you're playing a tank, so you're not going to deal too much damage to the towers alone. Rohan also walking back to base, has teleport available, might be looking to fight this. Both top laners have the TP. We have to look for an Annie pick again, but Annie just backed, has TP also. But, Annie wants to be the one front runner up here. You really want to be looking for those picks on the Annie ultimate. And if you're recalling, you lose a lot of pressure here walking back into lane, and you still have the Mundo split pushing, has already taken that tier 2 tower, and is going to be looking for the inhib too. Bringing the Malphite up here to contest this is just, it feels weird. It's very difficult to try and, start a fight without it. You're kind of looking for Wizardcraft to make something happen. And speaking of, though, he's going to be locking onto Gillenbrad's. Nothing else will happen. The Sheriffing shields will not be able to even get hit through. Teleport's going to come through first here. The ultimate's going to be followed up by Wizardcraft. Huge Amumu. Ultimate should be able to happen. No, the Charm's going to land here first. 2-man Charm. Nobody's trying to get it stunned, but he gets stunned by the Amumu ultimate. Knockup from Yasuo's going to come through here too. Annie is still... Annie is dead. Tibbers is still hitting everyone down, though, as Mastercat might be the next to fall. It is just the 2 tanks and a Seraphine, but Shyvana has a lot of damage, and Rohan is also full health, so not too much they're going to be able to do here. Somehow, at the end of all of that, it's a 2-for-2 trade, as the fight was just insane. Everything happened at once, and then nothing was happening. Everyone just used their cooldowns all at the same time. Absolutely wonderful. Dragon going to be trying to get stolen over here. Neither team has a jungle in the vicinity, so they're just going to get... Oh, sorry, Shyvana is here. I don't know what I'm talking about. Amumu wasn't, so they didn't have it. They can't contest it. Looking for the steal. Shyvana able to pick up the smite. That's soul point for Bayport, and I am lost in thought. I need to take a sip of my water. Okay. Let's bring ourselves back down to ground zero here. We are looking at around a 2,500 gold lead as a team in favor of Elkhorn. A very strong gold lead, which pretty much most of it is going to be at the top side of the map right now, as everywhere else is relatively even. But that is still a huge lead nonetheless. 3 items on Mastercat, 2 MR items. You have the extra healing to give your Mundo ultimate more power, and 500 stacks. On that Heartsteel is giving you so much extra health. It is so very difficult to kill this guy right now, unless you are the Jhin, and Jhin is not a tank slayer champion. Obviously, you do have the ability of Gillenbrad's able to bring him down, has a lot of max health damage, so definitely a tank slayer build more than anything else. But as Shyvana, if you aren't able to ultimate that backline or able to ult for kind of more of a pick, or pushing people away from where they want to be position-wise, it becomes very difficult. And Mundo goes where he pleases. So your ultimate's usually not doing anything against that. But, oh man, look at that damage! Just the auto Q from Gillenbrad's able to do half of NBK Plan B's health. I mean, that's just crazy because it's also through Yasuo's shield. He has a lot of life still, so should be able to heal back up a little bit, but he's going to be able to hit wave to do that. Baron spawning in 15 seconds, that's what we're fighting for. Mastercat kind of zoning out here, trying to get a good positioning mistake, catching someone out with the cleaver maybe. It's very difficult for Elkhorn to look for the engage here. You are looking to try to get onto this, either, like Jhin or Annie, either one of which might spell doom for your team. You really just need Mundo to tank everything up. Looking for these fights. Rohan has the ultimate available. Going to be looking to seeing the fight start here. Dauntus does get the Nautilus ult here first. No one's going to be able to follow up with that. Yasuo ultimate will not come through. Just waiting for their cooldowns to come back off before they're walking up again. Bayport playing into the choke. This isn't where you want to be right now, though. It's very difficult to walk in here. You just want to try to get the river control the best you can. Rohan trying to, walk forward, but he doesn't want to get picked either. Gillenbrad's now. Shyvana trying to go for some poke, trying to get some autos off. We're literally just dancing here. We're doing a hula or something. Oh, just walking back and forth, having the time of our lives. As Wizardcraft might be the target. No, he's going to walk back to his team. We're all still dancing. Like, we are just dancing at this objective. Someone at this point in time should be going to like shove a wave or something, because we are literally all just walking back and forth permanently. Monster Cat, though, might be looking at a Mumu. Will finally use the Q. Hits a huge two-man ultimate. Gilbrad's in the backline, though, is going to get one shot. Malphite ultimate's going to land on the two, but it's just not going to matter. It looks like everyone on Bayport is already dead. Warpo is able to flash out, too. So far, it is a 3 for 0 in favor of Elkhorn. They finally found the angle with that Amumu Q. And yeah, I mean, that's just going to spell the fight. After all that dancing, it all was ended instantaneously by the Mumu Q ultimate. Shyvana diving into the backline just, you know, gets bursted, and that's where a lot of your damage against the tanks is right now. So Master Cat pretty much became immortal, walked down the rest of the team, and, you know, 3 for 0, along with the Baron, is a huge swing play in favor of Elkhorn. And the Jin ult will somehow hit a field goal there. That was a wonky hitbox. Okay, so for Bayport, who's obviously in the loser's position right now, down quite a bit of gold, just lost a team fight and Baron. How do we get back into this game? What are we looking for? Well, Soul is a relatively good start, even though this Soul doesn't give you too many combat stats, you know, just movement speed on ultimate, and just base movement speed. It still is a good start fighting for this. Otherwise, you could give this objective, because you're not giving Soul, and shove some waves. You know, top lane and tower are available. Along with, you could shove mid lane, and maybe just, if you do, your team does a little dance around the objective again, you could maybe take an inhib or tower off of that. As, you know, so far what I've seen, these players are fans of just doing some dances around objectives. Shoving lanes is a good way to counteract this, getting the enemy team and forcing them to, you know, either start the fight in a position they don't want to, or they have to recall in order to stop you from taking an inhib is usually a good way to stop this. Obviously, you could also, in this situation, if you think you still win the fights, opt into the fight. Choose to be here for the Dragons, trying to fight this out, as it seems like they are choosing to do here. Mundo Q, though, is apparently the best poke tool in the game, as it has already done, you know, a quarter of Dauntus' health, half of Dauntus' health. As Gillenbrad's, though, going in, oh, taking half of a Mundo's health bar with just an auto Q. That is a very strong Shyvana. A huge tank-killing build is going to be doing a lot here, but it's very difficult to find an objective to get in here. They have to once again walk through the choke point. They're having trouble getting through. Dauntus will be able to heal his team up again with that Seraphine W getting hit by these choke points. Nautilus could have healed cover Q here. Still looking sympathy. A Mumu ultimate! A 5-minute Mumu ultimate to start the fight off! Seraphine ultimate will land on 2 of them as we have the Dauntus in the backline. Gillenbrad's also looking. Fitting Edge and Nobly still alive. That's going to be the ADC to the double knockup. Is going to be a 2 kills for Yasuo flashing over following. Q won't connect. Will he be able to make the kill? Yes, he will. Tristana takes it, and the Malphite should fall. Oh my god, that Amumu ult was insane. Absolutely, once again, these fights just dance for 5 minutes, and then instantly, Amumu presses Q ult, and the fight is just over. Really good find by Warpo there in the middle of the enemy team, a 5-man Amumu ultimate. You don't see those every day. That was really cool. Really nice to see. Obviously, also, Amumu was punished for being the only one that died in that fight, but... Actually, did Mundo perish too? Did both the tanks perish in that fight? I think Mundo only had 1 death. But still, that's just, it's such a good fight in favor of Elkhorn. Oh, man. Yeah, it just puts Bayport down 10k gold now. The wallets are just so heavy at this point in time. Mundo and Amumu are so tanky. You really just cannot break through these champions. And, you know, Shyvana was doing a lot of damage to Mundo there, but once you ult onto the backline and you allow the tanks to kind of just wreck your own backline when you don't have that damage source anymore, it becomes very difficult to pilot these fights if you are the Annie or the Jhin. And Seraphine just, it's so squishy, it's so difficult to find a situation you want to be in. You have to really play behind the rest of your team to find a good Seraphine ultimate, while also looking for Q poke and E poke, which is just very difficult to pilot, especially in these situations where one Nautilus Q, one Amumu Q is able just to kill you outright. And here we are back in the null state. Baron buff is gone now, so they do lose a little bit of stats, but as I said, wallets are extremely big, so at this point in time, you are probably looking at either just ending the game or Baron and ending the game if you are Elkhorn. You do want to... Oh, Okay, we're back. Okay. Well, I guess interesting. We missed a small fight. That's very sad. I am God though. I can reverse time. Okay, this is where we left off. Perfect. Sorry about that. I have literally no idea what just happened. We are going to be looking for this fight here happening. Something going to be happening very, very shortly, as it looks like it might start off in the top lane here. Dylan Brad's going on to Mastercat, has a lot of damage. So actually, it's going to be Dawn that's getting engaged down here in the mid lane. Then all his ultimate out of Noble. He has to try and run away, but it's going to be followed up by Yasuo. Going on to Dawn. It's now 2 under the tower. The Charm will hit 3, but you are dead, so it will not be able to save your life anymore. In the top lane, Mundo also is in the middle of a 2 versus 1 situation. They're trying to recall to save their base. It looks like they are just trying to end the game off of this, as Mastercat is just, running them down right now. He is so strong, and the Shyvana no longer has ultimate available either for defending this, and the inhib will just go down. Annie now in vicinity, though, has 3 items, but just not strong enough to burst through any of these tanks who have built full MR at this point in time. And here we are at the top lane tower. I'm looking for this and probably the inhib 2. Should be looking to end the game, like I said, soon. Baron up in a minute. I don't even know if they'll need that. One winning team fight should be all they need at this point in time. But we'll just continue to play it safe. Does not want to take any risks. You do have an advantage. There's no need to attempt to throw it away by fighting near enemy towers and Nexus, where they can respawn and recall quickly. If you play an extended fight, it's just not something you're looking for. You can play around jungle, play around objectives, play around vision. You have a comp that is very good looking for picks, so you can especially play around that. As Bayport here, you're just in a really rough situation at this point in time. The best advice I can give you is just don't get into the situation. You are definitely looking at trying to play a little more proactive, and as a Jhin, you really want to have a different champion for hitting the tanks. Shyvana does a lot of damage to these tanks. You really need to try to stay with your team, hitting Mundo, trying to burst him down so the rest of your team can play the game. Once again, Mundo, though, going to be looking for these cleavers. Best poke champ in the game, as the Dragon fight had showed us. Once again, we'll be doing a little bit of a dance. This one should be ending a little bit quicker, though, as, Elkhorn has probably realized at this point in time they can just start a fight whenever they want, and they'll probably win it with their wallets. Dylan Brads does find Mundo, doesn't want to go for any damage onto him, even though he has a lot of max health damage. There we go, we're going to be fighting onto Mastercat here. Mastercat has the ultimate, he's going to be popping it right away. Dylan Brads says his own ultimate, not be able to use it right again. A 4-man Amumu ultimate again! This Amumu is just winning these team fights alone! The only person who didn't get ultimate just got one shot immediately. The fight is going to be death for everyone on the Bayport squad, as it doesn't even matter what happens after the Amumu ult goes through. We just see a Nautilus ultimate, Yasuo falling up, and everything just falls apart. Nobly, there's nothing he can do here. Just there's absolutely nothing. You don't have Jhin ult, you have Flash available, it's not going to matter. You can maybe look for the 1-for-1 trade under your Nexus, but yeah, that should just be game. GG's to Elkhorn. Really well played. Got a really good advantage early, and also flashes and dies. Patting the KDA here for a wholesome cherry, and really well played overall by both sides. At the end of the day, though, it's just you fell behind too fast, too early. And that Annie just doesn't have the damage to burst through some tanks. When the enemy team has that many tanks and you have, a Jhin and an Annie who really just want to be one-shotting the squishy targets, it's difficult. It's very difficult to kind of do anything from that situation. Oh, my settings got reset again. That is... It's a lot of damage here by the Shyvana. Hitting the Mundo, doing a lot, but at the end of the day, it's just you're hitting the tank, so of course your damage numbers are going to be buffed up. Overall, though, surprisingly, I do see that the Tristana out-damaged Yasuo. I kind of actually expected Yasuo to have a little more damage at the end of the game, just because of who he was hitting in some of these fights, but that just shows how well bot lane was going for Elkhorn. Along with, the Amumu. Man, this guy hit a 5-man ult to win a team fight and pretty much win the game, and then to win the game, hit a 4-man ult. Just some absolutely insane Amumu ults coming through here. Pretty much kind of carrying some of these fights. Insane CC lockdown. There's no cleanses on the side of Bayport, so it's very difficult to do anything. And end of the game at a 13,000 gold disadvantage. It's very difficult to play these team fights. Shyvana gets blown up, and she's the only one that can kill your tank. So, you just end up losing them. Like I said, though, very well played by both sides. And that will be all here from the Wisha Week 4 League of Legends season. I have been Zombro, joined by me, myself, and I. Next week, I believe it will just be Charles Carl. So until week 6, you will not have either of us back together. I will see you guys, though, back in week 6, and I hope you all have a good rest of your night. Thank you all for stopping by.